Here we go. Live. Awesome. We're live.
Hi, everybody. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
It's Monday Munch. Happy
Welcome to Monday Munch.
before St. Patrick's Day. It's a thing. Saturday, Friday. Yeah, Friday.
Yeah.
So I am a little sniffly today. Waiting on the Sudafed and the Jameson to work. So, we'll see how that goes. It's a good
I
combination.
didn't know you find them.
Well, yeah. Why wouldn't I combine them? Everything's better in pairs.
That's real unhealthy, mister. Don't encourage the audience to do that.
Have you ever seen me do anything healthy?
No.
I drank water on one time. It was an accident. I had my mouth open when I looked up and it was raining.
Speaking
Other
of
than
water,
that, me and the possum were on the lifestyle, live fast, eat trash.
Yeah.
So
I'm so
that's
used to that ending
Mr.
a
Our
different way.
Yep. Hi,
that's Mr. Our irresponsible leader.
There we go.
I like that term. I like that, the irresponsible leader. That's why I have to have everybody here, because if I go unchecked, it's chaos. So
There we go.
but
There we go. We all know who's in control here.
everybody else.
We're all in control of ourselves. Thank you very much.
I may be the brand behind the munch, but you guys are the people behind the munch, because nobody wants to watch just this fucking train wreck. We've seen enough in the past month. So so it is Monday Munch. Tonight we are talking about things that I don't have pulled up yet. There you go.
Do you want us to introduce ourselves?
Sure. I am not prepared.
We
Over-prepared.
haven't done introductions in like 3 or 4 weeks, you guys. We totally should.
So yeah, I was gonna say I prepared too early. Like, I got all this stuff set up Wednesday, and then I just left it alone. I was like, yeah, I got everything done. So now I just don't even know how does much work. I didn't last minute this shit, so I don't even know how it works anymore. I am Mr. I run KinkSlayer.com. BDSM, kink, alternative lifestyle, sex ed, all that fun stuff you'll find on there, as well as the spotlights, which I have still so many to do that I haven't done. I am quite a procrastinator and lazy most days, so if we're being honest. But yeah, there's all kind of fun stuff up there. That's me.
You're in shape.
Right.
If you're one of these people that is needing something from the mister, ask again.
Yep.
Do it.
Multiple times. Please ask me many times. Annoy me every day. Like, have you got my shit done yet? Because eventually I'll either be like, you know what, let me get that done, or I'm going to be like, you know what, they're bothering the shit out of me. Let me get this done so they leave me alone. So either way, it gets done.
Go, Ray.
No.
Oh, crap. Oh, sorry. I always bubble a little bit. I am Ray. I do lots of stuffs. Yeah. Yeah, that thing. I spend a lot of time advocating for youth, especially trans and non-conforming youth. And I also do a lot of artwork stuffs.
Ooh. Ray, that's really pretty.
She's got 2.
Thank you. I did it today. Yes, I did the other one today too. I was only going to show one, but I'll show the other one too.
All right.
I'll plug my hole.
Okay. Thank you.
Ooh.
Booduma. Y'all go ahead.
So
I want to go last.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I'm Alice. I run a shit posting page on Facebook. I run a nonprofit for trans advocacy in West Virginia. That's
Alice.
it. End of sentence.
and you're
Hi.
amazing.
I'm Leanne. I'm a life and health coach and a kink-aware professional.
Hey, hi,
And you're
hello.
amazing too.
Juniper Jen here. I am your polyamorous, pansexual, provocative craft whore and the owner and operator of junipergen.com. I make all the vloggers and the fun things. So if you guys, want to go check that out while you're listening to Munch tonight, I'd appreciate it. Yep, that's me. I like baby cows.
It's funny. I watched the TED Talk the other day about a guy talking about your introductions and how when we're kids, we do stuff like that, And as we grow older, we stop doing that. We stop saying, I like this and, telling anybody anything about ourselves. So yeah.
I like baby cows.
Baby cow thing is like legit. Like we have to go out of our way sometimes to our destinations because there are baby cows on this road and we got to go do that. So
They're so cute.
The fever is there for it. That's the only baby we'll ever have.
I just like baby animal season at all the farms down here.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Baby
We're
anything. They're all
particularly in
cute.
cow country. Yep.
And if anybody watching wants to hop up on the panel, drop me a message. We'll get you the link. All those fun things. But
I'm gonna do one of my silly little shout outs before Mr. gets going to Goat Daddy Farm down in South Carolina. Yeah. I'm gonna come down and see your farm one day.
So
Me and Lily will be down there. They have all of the animals and a cow.
She
Nora.
live in a barn, so just know it's free labor as long as you can pet the animals.
Okay. Anyway.
So, if anybody does want to join the panel, please let us know. Tonight we're talking about BDSM or kink and identity. I do need to break that habit of using those words interchangeably. That's because they are two very different things. Kink is the umbrella. BDSM is more specific.
The squares and rectangles.
Exactly. Close enough.
We talk about a lot of squares and rectangles.
Yeah. So, boop. There we go. Where kink meets the real you. So, when it comes to identity, we had the identity spectrum. We've had a bunch of spectrums last month. So this is kind of the crossroads of that, since we talked about the 101, the beginning stuff, and learning about BDSM last week. So the identity part of it is kind of where you start to find who you are and how it correlates to your kinks and such. Mm-hmm. So, I know kink isn't always sexual. It's seen that way a lot, but that's where I hope Dream pops in later. That ace perspective is a good one for this one. But I don't besides being polyamorous, I don't think I have any unique identities. I do. You know what? I am very unique. Okay, I am a cis hetero white male. There's no perspective like that in the world. But no, just the polyamory is really all I bring to it. And even in some aspects of kink, you have non-monogamous play. Some doms have multiple subs. There's nothing sexual. There's nothing romantic. It's just play partners. So that's about all the identity I have, besides being a bald guy. It doesn't change anything. So,
being a bald guy who has an opossum.
Yeah, she's hiding right now, but yeah. Bald guy with a possum. And that's not a euphemism, just in case anybody's wondering. Awesome. So Dream is here in the comments, so not feeling great, and that's okay. So we participate.
Still love you.
In any fashion.
Feel better soon, Dream.
Exactly. So yeah, your perspective is great in the chat, and we'll add the things up on the screen and such. So yeah. So who's next about the identity?
Going with the identity things. I have a lot of those. I am polyamorous. I am first demisexual and then pansexual. The demi is more important. Like, I have to have an emotional connection to you, but once I do, I don't care what's in your pants. I'll play with it. Consensually, of course. But I am also a little, I've been embracing my little side a whole lot more, and it has been very fulfilling and helpful with a lot of things. So That's me.
Jen, you going last again?
Watch this. We're gonna solve this. Watch this. There we go.
That'll work.
Okay. As far as like BDSM and identity goes, I'm a switch that I mostly lean dominant. That dominant actually was part of me figuring out the trans thing, because one of my partners unironically called me mommy, like before I had started the transition, and I went, wait, what? And it started a lot of questions in my head that I ended up working through and am meh now.
Yeah. I like the self-description there.
I think that's really the only one that pertains to BDSM as part of my identity.
Right.
But like I'm pansexual, I'm polyamorous, I'm panromantic. Really for me, the only threshold for like consensual sexual activity is that I just trust the person. So, and in my personal circles, I also throw in that I'm just a slut in there.
Nothing wrong with being slutty.
So she reminded me that I forgot to say that I'm English. I'm a sub too. There we go. Sorry.
Rewind that.
What?
I'm a sub.
Okay. Yeah, I'm more of a top than a dominant, I guess. I like to do the things, but if it comes to like that DS, I'm more of a pleasure dom than anything.
Okay, and I am a heterosexual, married, collared, submissive. Always been submissive by choice as an adult, not necessarily as a youth, but very much a submissive.
My turn. Okay, so I've got lots of identifiers. I really do. I've got the pansexual, I've got the polyamorous. Mr. described all that. Ray described how the pansexual and all that goes into it. I'm going to lean my ramblings more toward how it affects me daily as this new self-healing process that I've been going through and learning process about dominance and submission. And I've instilled both of them into myself, and I've been working really hard to instill both mindsets and control aspects of the dominance and submission into me as a switch, and doing it myself, to myself, for myself. I hope that makes sense to y'all. I feel like I just rambled, but it totally all makes sense to me in my head, where I find myself throughout the day dominating myself at certain times, and then I can completely clock out and submit to that self that has dominated for so long, is now exhausted, but my submitting mindset can go a lot further in an exhausted mind state and do really good. And as long as I have those tasks already laid out for myself, we're gonna get through it. And yeah, that's my tidbit.
Very nice. We got a
Oh,
comment
and pansexual, I like to get spanked with pans. It can't even give me a real laugh. You're like, we're so tired of hearing that joke.
If it makes you feel any more, or if it feels any more creative to you, Jen, the pansexual joke in Spanish is bread rather than cookware.
Bread. French bread.
Carb loading.
So what was
I don't
the
like
comment,
load.
mister?
I think Alice gave up. Oh, that's right. I have that whole setting set
Ow.
thing that so when you turn your camera off, it pulls you down. The audio's still there though,
Oh,
Alice,
neat.
if you forget to mute.
There's some comments in the comments.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So we've got
Funny
one
timing.
here.
I just had something in my teeth.
Identifies as the submissive with limited slave tendencies, bisexual, and hetero-romantic. I like that. I like the bisexual with the hetero-romantic part. That's pretty. That's a unique take on it for sure. Because most people are either, if they're bisexual, they're usually biromantic, I guess would be the proper word. But interesting. I like that. Good job.
Well, a lot of that, I not taking away the personal choice aspect of it, because whatever, but a lot of that I could see being more socially acceptable. Like if you're only dating the opposite gender and then what you do behind closed doors is your own fucking business.
Right. I like that too. So now, as far as like other identities or other things that can contribute, I know we've all heard forever that people with kink are, have mental illnesses and stuff like that, and that's all that links to that. I do know that different parts of, we'll call them different psychologies rather than mentally ill, because there are different things that roll into that don't mean you're mentally ill. With those, though, I mean, they are also a part of your identity. So, if you have dissociative disorders, depression, anxiety, the general ones as well.
I would say that while you do see a lot more of mental, we'll say instabilities, quirks, whatever, in the kink community, I wouldn't say that it's because there are more. I would say it's because a lot of people that are kinky are just more self-aware. They're more open because we have to be.
I'm going to add on to that and maybe be a little hostile. I'm going to say it's because we're more authentic than most people.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, what people are grappling with that keeps them out of the community is them going, here's something that I'm into or something that works for me that I think is wrong or icky or whatever. And they shut parts of themselves down.
Yep.
And most of the people in the community are authentically living their desires, interests, and needs.
So they shut themselves down rather than doing what, you guys?
Working on themselves, communicating.
Had we not said communicate, I was going to go with double blowjob, but that was just the quick
do both.
How you pop that communicate up there. So,
And that's a big thing that's a big deal within the lifestyle, like that I personally have grasped and learned that has converted into everyday life very much is communication of my consent for doing things and the boundaries I have for said things, and that it transfers into all of the things.
It absolutely does.
And also the experience of enforcing boundaries should translate to everyday life as well.
This is where I learned it. Kink is where I learned it.
How the general public doesn't understand the concept of open and honest communication. A lot of them, not say every one of them, but a lot of people don't understand open and honest communication. They don't understand. So, when it comes to all those things, I completely got sidetracked about the private chat. I gotta stop checking those as we talk.
You okay there, mister?
Yeah, absolutely. I just had that image for a second. It was good to go. Okay, so, but you also look into, other things that people identify with is, disabilities. I don't know if anybody on the panel tonight has any like physical disabilities and stuff like that. So, that has a whole different aspect to, why you may have a certain kink or, how you identify in a kink world and stuff like that. So
For me, it requires an extra layer of communication. Like, I have narcolepsy, fibromyalgia, RSD, rheumatoid arthritis, and all of those require extra communication. Like, I have to tell people what to be aware of, what signs to be aware of if I'm going to have an episode, where not to touch my body because it will make me black out from the pain.
Yeah, see, it's things like that that people don't think about. You know, that's a different aspect of kink and how to navigate your own body and how to establish those boundaries, you know, and limitations.
And how to communicate them.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've
similarly
had
on
some
the
partners. Sorry, go ahead.
similarly on the disability front, like with asthma, being an extreme masochist, I've talked a little bit with y'all about how far that goes sometimes. There are points where I need my inhaler because the impact play has gotten rough enough that it's triggering an asthma attack. And that's something that has to be communicated, and the other person has to be aware of like what the sign is or what we've set in place to give. That means pause, give me my inhaler.
Does that mean they're doing a great job then? If they can
Usually.
trigger an asthma attack? Okay. I mean, I was just
Usually.
curious, you know, I mean, I got to be the one to ask the insensitive questions.
Oh, that's not insensitive. It's something I have to deal with to get to the level of masochism that I'm looking for.
Oh, very nice. So it starts with, I can't breathe, and then it ends with, that hurts so good. Gotcha.
Pretty much.
Okay, there you go. Dream says you got to be honest about your disabilities because you will get hurt. I've had to pull myself out of scenes because I wasn't okay. Physical, emotional, mental, all important. Absolutely.
Yep, absolutely.
The one thing that I did like from all of our favorite movie, the 50 Shades of Grey, I did like when the scene where he drew on his body where it was okay to touch him. I did like that one scene because that's something that I've done with different partners where I've drawn circles around the areas on my body. Don't touch within this circle.
Touch me there.
Hey, don't touch
I hate giving that movie any credit whatsoever, but I do have to agree with that one scene.
Right, and I always give that pile of garbage credit because it introduced some people to the realm of kink, so maybe they could learn the proper ways to do things. You know. Yep.
Two things. One, can we please remake it, but musical?
Musical and actually kink appropriate.
You know what?
Okay.
I'll say something I've never said and probably will never say about anything else. I think it would be an improvement if we made it a musical.
And two,
I need you to know. I need you to know there is already a parody musical of 50 Shades of Grey.
That's fantastic.
It's 50 Shades ! The musical.
Oh no, I have to see that.
And it's actually like a thing that they do on Broadway and shit, right?
I would hope Broadway's standards aren't that low.
It's not on Broadway anymore, but it was up until April of 2015.
That's a shame.
Wow.
That it was on Broadway, not that it's off Broadway.
I can't remember what 2 was. Shoot.
It'll come back to you.
That's right.
Maybe in one of those days.
Before
It'll
we
come
spend-
back to me like later.
That's okay. We do that all the time. Remember, like 3 weeks ago when I couldn't remember somebody's name and I just randomly shouted like 45 minutes later. Yeah, you know, that's all it takes. But like now, physical disabilities. I know we all have. Most of us have a friend or know someone that maybe is more physically limited, such as like in a wheelchair or things like that. That could be something that takes a completely different thing. You know, for some reason, besides our friend Tony, I thought of the girl I went on a date with that one night, Jessica. I wonder how she's doing, but fully like wheelchair bound, paralyzed, waist down. We had discussed it, you know, but how does that work? And yeah, so it was. She was like, it all still fucking works.
They make wheelchairs with thrusting motors specifically for those purposes.
Oh man, see, it's like I said last week. You guys are teaching me not to say the quiet part out loud all the time. Because I just had a really fun thought. Well, I call it fun, but no. So yeah. So physical disabilities like that. No, obviously, if somebody's like extremely wheelchair bound, that's probably not going to be a suspension artist. They may be suspended. That may be something that allows a little more freedom in that aspect. You know, if it is like a paralysis of the legs, you have a little more freedom to move and do different things and be positioned a certain way. I would
A lot of these awesome healthcare facilities already come with the hooky things in the wall that move like from room to room. Suspension would be fun in like physical therapy places.
It's already set up.
That's
we're gonna house set up.
We're gonna revolutionize the healthcare industry. Let's start a kinky hospital.
I mean, let's be real, guys. By the time like my generation is old enough to be in nursing homes, they're gonna have dungeons and smoke rooms and all that.
But it's kind of like
they don't already.
Right.
What?
I said you say that like they don't already.
Oh, I know, right? We just haven't, we haven't been in enough nursing homes to find out yet.
There's quite the advent of like sexually transmitted diseases in nursing homes.
I was actually about to say that that's one of the highest rates of STDs of any like subculture is like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and just remember, you guys, if you turn your camera off, your mic's not muted. So I've got that fun little setup going on now. Sorry about that. I had to do it last week.
Neat.
So
you can still hear me?
Still hear you.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Guess I won't.
Don't turn your camera off and fart.
Exactly. I mean, you can, and we'll play a guessing game of who did it. So
It'll be the one not on the screen.
maybe. I mean, like if they're not on screen and I rip one right now, I can blame it on Jen. So, yeah. But in our kinky hospital, we're gonna have nurses. They're not gonna be real nurses. They're gonna be service subs dressed as nurses. So the actual medical abilities of this place is gonna be terrible.
Why not? They could be nurses. They could be nurses. They'd probably be plenty of service sub nurses that are already nurses, already service subs, and ready and willing.
Man, see, that makes me want to dive into like professions in kink and like get into that. We'll get into that. Nope, we're not doing that tonight.
That's a topic for another one.
That is a great topic for another one like that. But I've always wondered, I don't have well, that didn't fucking mute. All right, so that was smooth. But I have always wondered like how that works. As I personally don't have any physical disabilities. Mine's all like up here. But I know med play is real. Dream says med play. No, it's real, but I don't. We could make
what?
It'd be hard to hire. Okay, we're back on the nurses thing. It'd be hard to hire some nurses. Oh yes, Leanne.
I follow a dominatrix out of Canada who was in an accident and ended up wheelchair bound. Morgan Thorne Smith. She's amazing. Amazing. And it's interesting to hear her perspective. She does a lot of YouTube videos and stuff. Being a dominatrix in a wheelchair.
That is quite fascinating because I would imagine like that adds a little more limitation. But at the same time, I mean, I don't know. I personally don't know. I couldn't tell you. So
where there's will, there's way.
I would say rather than adding limitations, it would just add more creativity being necessary.
Mm-hmm. Right. So if anybody in the comments,
we all know, the more creative, the more fun.
Absolutely. Because all kink is just a fun session of Dungeons and Dragons without the dragons.
Not necessarily.
I mean, unless you're into pet play and involves dragons and bad dragons and all that stuff. So it's still possible. So see, look, I'm getting all these ideas in my head of things we need to do now. Just open like a fun dungeon, real life D&D, but it's kink related. So like you have those missions and fun things to do there. Just saying.
All right, rolling on.
You know what? Here we go. Unleashing your true self, how BDSM can help you grow. I know this was actually a very specific topic that Jim was looking forward to. But as far as that goes, okay. We'll see you in a little bit, Dream. Come back whenever. You're always welcome to hop up on the screen if you feel like it. But once you get into the kink realm of things, it's almost the most self-discovery you can do. Truly, I mean, yeah, you can go on like hikes and go backpacking across Europe and all those stuff to find yourself, but to really understand who you are as a person and what you want in at least a important aspect in a lot of people's lives, as far as like the bedroom, relationships, things like that. So once you get into the kink aspect, are you more dominant, or are you a submissive because you work in an office and you dominate, you're the dominant voice of that office all day? So is it an escape? I've seen a lot of stories like that. These CEOs and these top headhunters and all that stuff is in a private setting. They are into the cross-dressing or the sissification or being a complete submissive in all those ways. So it really dives deep in the psychology of everything, which is always fascinating.
A lot of kink-related things can be very therapeutic for anyone.
Sorry, my headphones fucking up. I'll be right back.
No, you're good. It was Ray.
Okay.
It was her microphone. The whole thing went swimming.
But
it was me?
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, it sounded
Sorry.
good for a second, but you're good.
But sorry. But yeah, a lot of kink-related things can be very therapeutic, and can help work through a lot of trauma. Like Little Space can help work through a lot of childhood trauma. There are some people that will use small doses of CNC to work through trauma surrounding rape with a very, very trusted person.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that even like sensory play can be very therapeutic too.
Tony, I was just talking about you. Hope you're
Thanks
doing
for rolling in.
oh fuck, I love Tony. I hope you're like, we get your internet fixed, you're getting up on cam again, and we're gonna be hanging out again soon. So get together. Okay. Tell them all to get your internet fixed. Because I said so. That's not gonna go far, but you let them know I said so. But yeah, I was saying a minute ago, Jen, I don't know if you heard, but like I know this specific aspect of the conversation was something you were looking forward to yourself, or to discussing. We talked about that earlier today. It's changed you a lot. Like honestly, from what I've seen, the past 5 years I've known you, I've seen you change a lot as far as in and out of the bedroom.
So like I personally feel like mentally I've been a submissive my whole life, just accepting and playing the roles that needed played, or just not living for myself. But I've learned that it's good to live for yourself, and it's good to start trying some different new things, and it's good. It's okay. It's allowed. It doesn't matter what society has told you your whole life. The stuff that we all were raised on, watching on TV and stuff like that's not always right. I won't dive too deep into the topic of how screwed up our media is as far as like showing how consent works and boundaries work, and showing people how that works, because there's
And-
no
and
descriptions of
specifically,
those.
And
Hmm?
specifically like romanticizing, violating boundaries. Ooh.
Yeah,
Right.
Well, awful.
not cool. Like, and maybe if we talked about it, then it's cool. But that's not how that works, and it's not okay. But yeah, I talked about that whole spiel I gave earlier, how passionate I was about bringing all of those aspects into myself. That's who I am now. I love it, and it does make me. I know it makes me a stronger person, and I am definitely able to conquer more, do better.
It's
My
very
service
freeing
sub,
to
she
go.
shines so bright and does so well.
Right.
It's very freeing to go from feeling like you have to fulfill that role to everybody to knowing that you have a choice of no, I can only
Yeah.
fulfill this role for who I choose to fulfill this role for.
Right. It's not you, Alice. I think Ray switched over to her 1950s radio microphone.
Every now and then they cutting it out, but we can hear still.
We can hear you. It just sounds like legitimately the best thing I could say is it sounds
Like
like
you can?
1950s radio.
It sounds to me like when songs sample something that's said on the radio.
Right. Yeah, I'll just cut that and make a sample now. There you go. But it only does it like so often. I don't know if maybe you're sitting further back than normal or not, but no, okay. It's fine. We'll figure that shit out. There you go. See, Tony says it all originally began with mental health therapy. I do see that a lot. I'm sure, Leanne, you have experience coaching people with kink and learning a lot about the ins and outs of people. Got any insight to share there?
More from my own perspective, really, without sharing other people's confidences. But for me, I came into kink kind of like Jen. I already knew I was a submissive. I was born and raised. I think I rolled out of the womb with that title, that expectation of who I was in the family dynamic. But to then enter and find kink and find a partner that I chose to give my submission to, like 100% chose, while being fully aware of my identity, who I was, what my limits were, and that for the first time in my entire life, I had a voice. And I was able to give myself permission to accept all those sides of me and have a partner also accept all those sides of me. So that's been the best part and the most growth, was my own acceptance and being accepted.
For sure. Through like my past relationships and such, I've had like one or two that we kind of dabbled into the kinky realm and stuff like that. But as far as like where I'm at now, the connection I have with Jen is definitely different in a lot of ways. But we joked today. She said something about peeing on me when we were walking into the Ingles. I don't remember what we were talking about now, but I laughed. I was like, "Yeah, whatever. If you're down for it, I'll try anything once." But it's like that important. That growth, that comfortability. I find myself.
I just had to pee.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, because she's in a hurry to go pee. She's gonna pee on me if she didn't get there in time. But that
Kinky.
growth and comfortability with somebody to be able to say, "Hey, this is what I'd like to try this. If you'd like to try this, I'd love to." Yeah. And Tony says he played the tough guy for years. That's that could be a big thing too. That's kind of like we talked about. I don't know if you were here the same ago, Tony, but a lot of the people that are the tougher, tough guy roles and stuff like that in life dabble a lot in the submissive side of things from what I've seen. I mean, I know some like that are true, like I hate the fucking term I'm about to use, but the alpha type. You know what I mean? Those big, burly, Bigfoot motherfuckers, like the big dudes. Not even the alpha type. They just have that type A dominant personality, and those are the ones that may dress in the prettiest dresses behind closed doors. You know, and be perfectly comfortable and happy doing that. And that's because it's important to them to be who they are. And that's what I like so much about this whole subculture of kink and BDSM is what we talked about earlier. It's the one chance. It's really one true chance to be your exact self the way you want to.
Yep.
We always say, you know, communication and consent and all those things. You know, haven't not talked about that yet, but we will actually talk about that in just a minute. But that's another thing is learning that communication, being able to look at people and say, I would like to try this exactly this way, you know, rather than, oh, it's whatever you want to do. Yeah. It's navigating through that that's super important. And anybody new to the kinky realm, if you are playing with somebody that is experienced, they will understand and be open to that. If they're not open to that and understanding it and negotiating with you, then they're not probably somebody you should play with. If you and your partner are both new to the realm, it's also a good time to responsibly educate and experiment, but, you know, be open. And whatever happens in those scenes and whatever you say in those scenes, afterwards discuss it. You know, it's like, don't ever call me that again, or don't ever do that again. But that's why you have safe words as well. So,
and maybe go to like a third party for like specific details, or if you will have a scene in mind that you're not sure how to set up safely, you know, maybe think about something like coaching.
Yeah.
Right. Kink your way.
Absolutely.
As an interested in a good coach that is in the kink realm, check out that kinkyourway.com. That's the best resource. I'm pretty sure she gives free consultations, but I don't know.
I do. Hey, Jen, did you happen to catch my post, my little shout out to you right before we started?
I didn't. No.
You'll have to go check it out.
Okay. Yay.
I was watching CSI, and there was an episode where a guy was being investigated, and he says, oh, me and so the guy who was dead was, we were partners in a business. And they said, well, what kind of business? And he says, the only business that doesn't have to worry, that's recession proof. And they were like, what are you talking about? And they open this garage door, and it's all full of sex dolls and whips and crops. So I took a picture of it and I posted it, and I said, now everybody, will you understand my business niche? It's like, it's the best of both worlds. Being a coach is recession proof, and sex toys is recession proof. Exactly. And so I did a shout out for everybody to go see Miss Juniper Jen and buy some goodies.
Exactly. Absolutely.
I love that. That's great.
That's wonderful.
Made me
I don't know
laugh.
how supportive we all are. Alice, I need your in our side chat, like on Facebook, if you give me like the link to your nonprofit and stuff, I'd love to, because I'm not going on my rant today. I was gonna go on a rant, but I'm not going on my rant right now. But yeah, a lot of bad shit happening in the world, so I'll flip the fuck out on that one day. I'll get on here early and, you know, just ramble and rant, chase everybody off before they get here.
It's in the link tree, but I just dropped a link to the home page, and I'll drop the tenants page too.
Awesome.
The tenants page is a really good, like, here's what we're about.
I'm going to pop this up real quick, because I think the more resources we have for trans folks right now, or people that are allies of trans folks, this is important shit. And the only thing I'll say right now, no, should I? Yeah, you know what? Being a casual ally right now is creating casualties in the community. So if you're going to be an ally,
being a casual ally ever kills people.
Absolutely. But right now, more than ever, it's going to take everybody. Hell, I'm even seeing like the community dividing, like the LGBT community. Like people are branching off and saying, nope, we want to be the LGB community. Well, too fucking bad. We're all one big letter now. So
and the problem with cutting the T out of it is that if you go and say, oh, we're the good ones, we're not the trans people over here, eventually it's not going to fucking matter.
Nope.
Because when they're done with the trans people, they're going to come for the next minority, which will probably just be queer people in general.
Or it
And-
could be like Tennessee trying to kill, 3 birds, 1 stone. If you're not the right religion, the right color, or the right sexuality, they can they can not marry you if that law passes. So that's a fun one.
Yeah.
So yeah, get your shit together, world.
There's a way to fix that, but I'm not going to say it on live on air.
Well, the best way is communication. Yeah.
Okay, so super quick side rant. That pisses me off with the whole marriage thing, because marriage was not originally anything to do with any of those. It was a business transaction. So if you want to go with government marriage, it's a fucking business transaction. Sorry.
That's like legit the only reason I want to get married to Jen is so she can get on my health benefits, my plan, and better tax bracket. That's like it. Because all we have to do to say we're married is for me to get her a ring and be like, "Hey, we're married." Okay. And she'll be like, okay.
You don't even have to get a ring. Like, you got to go to the courthouse and sign a paper, right?
No,
$50 for a marriage license, and
we could say right now we're married, and that's all it matters.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen people do that shit.
A witness and
exactly.
For the record, if you ever need an officiant, I can absolutely do the paperwork and
that's right. I remember you
for
saying that, Alice.
I think it's a shame I can't officiate my own wedding.
Well, the officiant's job technically is supposed to be to make sure that everything's on the up and up, and you're not like having a shotgun wedding or a hostage wedding.
Oh, well, what's the fun in that?
Which is why you can't do it yourself, and why you're not supposed to do it for immediate family.
That's crazy. Yeah. So Tony said same. I don't know what he said same to, but Tony said same. Agrees to all of it. But no, I think one day.
Was that Tony offering to officiate the wedding?
Maybe Tony can be the official too. So
We'll show up.
You're just gonna,
and we'll establish some kind of duel that we're both capable in.
Right back.
And we'll fight for who can officiate.
Keep in mind you're not muted unless you mute yourself.
I went ahead and hit mute on her just in case you needed a private moment there. So, yeah, I forgot I can do that for you guys. So if you do go off camera, I'll hit that mute button. Just let me know if you want to be unmuted. But no, like one day I'm gonna have a full on. It won't be a lunch day, but like we're gonna have a whole. I'm gonna have a whole freak out about all the dumb shit in politics right now. So if you guys are down for that, I'm down for that one day. Doesn't have to be on the lunch, but we can, Yep.
We got a comment from David Marshall that ends in what I think is a really good suggestion.
God, David, good to see you. Glad you're here. So before I read that out, David, I got in touch with Stacy from Compere. I have a meeting with her on Wednesday, so hopefully that goes through, and I'll be a Compere volunteer.
David is a part of our local pride, you guys.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's. I'm glad to see David here for that reason. So most people I know are so programmed to think that kink is wrong or bad, taboo. Speaking of gay people who have been out for years, still ashamed or scared of opening up. I love this show. Thank you. We love that you're here. I wonder if people would participate if the questions could be anonymous, like dear Abby. Reminds me of Click and Clack, Tappet Brothers and PR, where people call in and answer questions. Just an idea. The show could help so many people. Love it. And David, absolutely. If I may add a caveat to that. If anybody wants to, keep their question anonymous but still be able to ask it, we have different ways to message and get in touch.
So something that you could set up that'd be fairly simple to do is maybe like a Dropbox on the KinkSlayer website where people could just leave anonymous questions.
Yeah, that would be good too. Absolutely. I have to do that.
Stick it right there at the bottom, so it's always in the same spot. Yeah.
Leave it as a static on the scroll. Oh yeah. Okay, might be something I have to get into and look into there. So
absolutely. No, this is something that he's going to do. I'm going to put it on the list.
She's going to put it on the list, and when it gets put on the list, it will get done. Might be in 2035, but it'll get done.
No, my son, chicken's ass.
Done.
But no, like with that, I do love that idea. I know on the page, which I don't really pay attention to the page very much, like or the group. I pay attention to the page, not the group. But the group has like an anonymous post option, so we may have to figure that out. But yeah, we're gonna look into that. I'm gonna look into that. And we're gonna make that happen. So
for that to work, just very rudimentarily, you could do a form on your website and just not include any identifying information in the form.
Yeah,
and
could just be like, ask your question, and that's all you need. So
yeah,
I'm down for it. Okay.
Or like maybe leave a space for something to call that person that's not actually their name and make it optional.
Right, and an email if they want a direct answer.
Yeah.
In case they miss lunch. But nobody should be missing lunch. Except for the panelists. We're allowed to miss sometimes.
If they do miss it, it is posted later. They can always go back.
Yeah, you're right. Every day it gets posted. It's on the YouTube, the Facebooks, and all those things too. So
that's what I was going to say.
Bam. Our favorite topic here. Oh, you suck. What?
I was guessing because I can't
Read that shit.
Oh, it says safe words of self-discovery, the art of communicating in BDSM. So, as we've beaten into everybody's heads since we've started Munch, and we will continue to beat in your heads every week when we talk, communication and consent are the two biggest factors to having a successful and healthy relationship.
Happy relationship.
Exactly. And that never applies to any relationship, honestly, whether it is professional, romantic, sexual, platonic. You want to have those two aspects in everything. Oh, man.
You can pick your friends, but you can't pick your friend's nose without consent.
Exactly. I like that. It's a perfect analogy there. So,
and I want to remind everybody, I know St. Patrick's Day is coming up, you guys, but not okay to pinch your friends without consent.
I wear a lot of green.
Not wearing green.
I wear a lot of green to start with, but if someone pinches me without my permission, I have on almost every St. Patty's Day punched someone.
Exactly. That's the rules. If you pinch, I punch. Yeah. I told my son, I was like, if you're going to do that crap today, when I dropped him off, I was like, don't pinch somebody hard. Okay. You pinch him just to go, just pretty much squeeze more than pinch. If you pinch me and it hurts, I'm liable to elbow you in the forehead. So. So obviously the things when it comes to BDSM, the BDSM realm, or the kink realm, I'm just going to start saying kink instead of BDSM. The kink realm is safe words, negotiation, and consent are like the three that roll into this. Without those three, no scene should ever take place, never start. And if the communication, consent, and safe words break down during a scene, the scene should dissolve itself as well. That's where it pays to have a little bit of smarts about you, and to know your partner and trust the person you're playing with.
And also,
before I cough thing is nice.
And also, there are different forms of communication besides just verbal too. Like, I know me personally and a lot of other people that go nonverbal in certain headspaces. There's hand signals, there's body language, there's all kinds of nonverbal communication.
There's writing and like text messaging. If you've got your phone with you, you could send the person a message if you're not in a space where you can physically speak.
Mm-hmm. I do like that because, like in parties and stuff like that, if someone that's not your partner is making you uncomfortable, you can text your partner and say, "Hey, in a weird situation, can you please come out back where I'm at, or whatever." Those things are important as well. So, And if you're like a part of the Mean Girls Club, you can text each other and talk shit about people. But we're not going to condone that.
Only talk shit about people who deserve it.
Yes, absolutely. And what you said earlier about being, I don't remember how you worded it, but before you said we were more authentic, I will always choose that answer. The more, what'd you call it? I don't remember now. God. Abrasive, I think, maybe.
We're more authentic.
No, but you said like you were going to, what you were about to say is more abrasive, I think. But I will always choose that type of answer over the kid glove answers for sure. You know me.
Yeah. Oh, I said I might come off as a little hostile.
There you go. Yeah, I always take the hostile answers. I'm much nicer in real life, I promise. But respect is the culmination of, and the talk I gave at Shelby Pride when we went there a couple weeks ago. That was the thing wrapped up because we were talking, or not because of it, but we were discussing like the truth, the honesty, communication, the three aspects of a relationship. And I told them my son, when he was 8, dropped the bomb on me. He said, "What about respect?" It made me realize that all three of those things come together to make respect happen. You're not going to respect somebody that you don't trust, or vice versa, stuff like that. So you definitely, and it's not in the respect as like the respect your elders and all that other mess, that kind of view of respect, but like actually having a solid foundation in some kind of relationship or in kink. You want to at least respect the person you're playing with as an equal at minimum. Even if they are your submissive, they are still your equal as a person. What happens in the scene and outside of the scene doesn't make them lesser of a person. And same for submissive. You're dominant, or the dominant in a scene isn't more of a person or better of a person just because they are the dominant in a scene. Safe word, stop everybody. So
stop at a safe word.
So, safe word, stop everybody that has respect for what they're doing. Is that a better way to put that?
Yeah. Safe word, stop almost everybody, and we have sharp things for the other people.
Exactly. But communicating is the only way to explore. Now I know that, Alice, you've said before you have the tism.
Yeah.
So, and I know you miss some subtext and stuff like that, and some of those underlying meanings and certain sarcastic comments and stuff like that. So when it comes to just in general communication, just in case your partner is autistic or just doesn't pick up on social cues at all, use your most plain language you can.
So I would say rather talk to them about how to communicate with them, right? Like I'll tell my partners, hey, be as blunt as possible. I would rather you risk hurt my feelings than not say something important.
Right.
It's the important part is not assuming that there's something that should be known that wasn't explicitly said. Specifically, like with a lot of autistic people, but not all autistic people, reading into information is where we kind of break. Like we'll say this person said this thing and they wanted this thing, and then the scene happens and the thing they said they wanted happens and they freak out on us because we missed some unspoken cue that there was something going on, but we weren't told to look for that cue.
Right.
So like if you're going to have an autistic person or have a scene with an autistic person, you should, as clearly and directly as possible, say, this is what I want. This is what it's going to look like if we need to stop, and like be willing for them not to be able to read into something.
I know I've said, my off the wall crazy shit before, and like you completely miss like the subtext of it. And it happens, so I'm learning how to interact, with people that are different than I am. Us white hetero males are in the minority, so we're having to learn so many things. So Oh man, it's like it's becoming my
Love
new
you,
favorite
Mr.
thing to
Big.
make fun of my kind of people. Like that's it. Like yeah, we're
Oh.
I love you so much, Mr.
But every time you say that, I want to kick you in the shin.
why?
I don't know. It just rubs me the wrong way.
Because you know
Yeah.
it's bullshit, and that most cis white hetero males act like they are some kind of minority.
Yes, it makes me
You're-
want to kick you in the shin.
Mr. You are assuming the role of an asshole that every single person on this panel, I promise you, has met many times.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, I've met him. Hey, I work with one. He is the most sensitive little thing ever. I love him to death. But he had I'm gonna make him go to a drag show. Like we had a whole throwdown about it one night, and he was like, "I'm not going to that gay stuff," and I was like, "It's not gay for one, but two, why?" He was like, I ain't trying to have nobody fuck me," and I'm like, "Well, don't let anybody fuck you. I don't know. Like, are you worried like you might be gay and don't know it, or?"
So like, what does this guy think happens at drag shows? Because they're not orgies, right?
That's pretty much like, okay. So
Is he worried he's going to go there, find like a drag king or a drag queen, and be like, I need to get this person a drink right now?
possibly. We have started. So since he's told me at some point that he can always tell when somebody is trans when they're not a woman. So we've started playing the game of
Oh
check
God.
her out. Yeah, and then sometimes it is a cis woman, sometimes it's a trans woman, and I love it when he gets it wrong because he's like, no, that's not a man. That wasn't a man. That's that's a woman. I'm like, you're right. That is a woman. I'm glad you can see it that way. So she wasn't born that way, but she is a woman. So, hi, Craig. Haven't seen you. I changed. I went back to my home store, so I haven't seen you in like a week. Craig actually lives
Mister?
local, and we interacted with each other. Yes,
I'm going to correct you again.
yes.
She may not have been born physically that way, but she was born that way.
Her body might have been wrong when she was born.
There you go.
But
I'm over here singing Lady Gaga in my head.
I totally started singing that in my head when I said it that way. No, so that and it's not
And
to,
like
to be. So let me
general.
clarify. It's not about being insensitive or trying to make make any kind of game out of trans people. It's to really make this person understand that they're wrong in every possible way. So they are learning it, and it's nice to see them learn like on a conversational level that they're wrong. At first it was just out of just to fuck with them, but now it's because they're learning, and it's just my
I
way.
do really enjoy watching some people that may hold a more shadowy perspective. I really enjoy when I'm able to shed my knowledge and light onto them, and I can watch them actually consume it, and it changes it. It takes that gray and adds a little white into it. It's still a little muddy, but there's still, they're catching a little bit of my compassion, yeah. Contagious, you guys. Let's spread it. Like,
When in doubt, spread them out.
yeah.
Who's that? Bert Kirshner. I fucking love.
Oh man.
Um,
Which is another one. Nobody's gonna correct me on the herpes one. Like,
what about the herpes?
never mind. We're really gonna have to cover STDs again for Monday Munch on a recorded session.
Completely. Because I don't know.
Because that's something that we don't know a lot about,
but that is also something very important about communication. If you have not been tested, Tony, you're not being bad. Sorry, but if you haven't been tested, go get tested. As a matter of fact, like if you message me, I have a special link to a program that sends you a free at-home STD test. It's not very invasive. You have to do like a little fingerprint for a finger prick for a blood test. You got to swab your mouth and you got to swab your butthole. That's the little invasive part. It's not that comfortable because it's a dry Q-tip, but it's not bad. And a urine test. So like, and they send you all your stuff back and like, hey, you don't have chlamydia, you don't have this, you don't have HIV, you don't have hepatitis.
If you live near a Planned Parenthood, every Planned Parenthood clinic does STI testing, and most insurances, including like Medicaid and Medicare, can go to Planned Parenthood and cover the testing.
And the testing, even so, I mean, the testing isn't super expensive either way. But if you have free alternatives, please use them. Absolutely.
Yeah, we do here. We have public health testing offices all over here.
Yep.
Yeah, so
I was just going to say that. A lot of health departments and stuff will offer testing for free.
Right.
Not around here, unfortunately. In West Virginia, you're not supposed to admit that you have sex.
Well, no one in West Virginia has sex.
Ah, fuck.
I
gotta leave.
You do need to leave West Virginia, but that's for not not that reason. Craig said that people don't understand. Not everyone shares the same kinks to the same intensity. Not yelling, just can't italicize here. Absolutely, just because Jen loves floggers, hates paddles. I like a Wartenberg because it's nice, but I don't want to be. I don't want them to cut me. It's like my pain threshold is. I mean, I have a high tolerance for pain, but I don't care for it. So like,
you don't have an appetite for it.
Yes, I don't have an appetite for it. I can handle it all day. I mean, like, I almost took my fingertip off a couple years ago and just walked off. Gross Jen out because I just gross all of you out real quick. I just snatched the rest of the fingernail out and was like, okay, had to do that before I could feel my finger again. So.
I may add that grossed me out. It's he's a free bleeder and he decided to walk through the house. So I
was trying to get somewhere to stop the bleeding, but
a fingertip.
I had to find a hair tie. There was a hair tie to cut the blood flow off real quick, So, and David, absolutely, I would love to share that with you. As a matter of fact, if you want me to share it, I can. I'll send you the link privately if you want to share it as well. That's your page, and you're a major part of that group, so you may seem like more authority on that as well.
It's also in my link tree, pretty high up on the top.
And that's Linktree whatever / Juniper Jen. And it's really cool. So the link I'll give you is an affiliate link. I'm not sure how it works because it's all free, but it says like it saves like you like $20 and it gives me like $20 or something. I don't know how the fuck that works, but yeah, it is free. Like I got 2 months of prep. Shame on me. I never took the prep. But they sent me like 2 shipments of it. It was like, here. And if you don't know what prep is, it blew my mind that I do sex education and I didn't know what the fuck prep was. Okay. That just shows you like how not everybody is an authority and knows everything. But prep helps prevent the spread of HIV. Whether if you have it, I believe you can take prep to help prevent it, right?
There's prep that the person who has it can take, and then there's prep that the person who doesn't have it can take.
That's it.
And
either information.
The one that you take if you have it reduces your viral load, and the one that you take if you don't have it reduces the chance for the virus to set in.
Yeah, and after like you take 20 consecutive days, it's like 90-something% effective against HIV contraction. Like it's bananas. The medication, we definitely got to do a STD lunch one time because.
Another thing about testing is if you find a pride event, generally it's like a larger city pride event. A lot of times they'll have on-site testing where you can just take like 5-10 minutes out of your little shenanigans that you're getting into and go get tested.
Now, I will say that is a gamble. They mostly most of these tests for HIV, I'm pretty sure, like that's their main point of checking for HIV at these events. There may be others that check more of a broader spectrum of STIs, but yeah, that is a gamble. I spoke to the lady last year, and she was like, all the tests I've done, they've all come back negative, except for like this one guy I remember, like, and he was pretty sure he had been in contact. So he wanted to get tested, and he left, and he told her where he'd be, and she came by the bar later to find him, and had to deliver that news. So just know it is a gamble, but it's an important gamble to take. If you do have HIV, you don't want to spread that. Like you don't want to spread any STI, but
just in general, if you're able to get tested once or twice a year, and before and after each new partner.
Mm-hmm. It'll also help you pin down if you do catch something, or if you do get an STI. You can say, "Well, I didn't have it 6 months ago. I do have it now. I've only slept with 2 people between then, so it's got to be between those 2 people, unless it's something that took a while to show up."
Yes.
Yeah, there are some that do not show symptoms or test positive for, I think, some of them up to 7 years.
Yeah, HIV is up to 7 years. I'm pretty sure. Up to so. I mean, just because I tested negative last year doesn't mean in 3 more years I can test and it would still be there. But I do my part and I'm responsible. And
Hello, boobies.
hi.
That puts me back on task, though. Absolutely.
Bye.
Actually, it took me way off. Oh God, I'm sorry, y'all. We do need to have a talk about STDs and all that good stuff, and really, really get a rundown. But not tonight. You guys are getting too deep in it.
So I do want to check for Craig though and see if the VA offered. I would imagine the VA would offer an STD panel of some kind. I'm not sure. So
Not usually, no.
I was gonna say I have no idea. Once again, I'm not a veteran, so I can't tell you exactly how that shit works. I'll tell you why y'all listen to me half the time.
The VA is shit for taking care of most veterans.
Right, now I do know that part, and I don't have to be a veteran to know that. So Craig, if you feel like sharing, so how does that impact? Now, fibromyalgia, that makes the body super sensitive, right? To touch can be painful, if I'm not mistaken. So I didn't take that class. I didn't do the medical thing. Fibromyalgia, I have no idea how that affects the body.
I have fibromyalgia.
There we go. Now we got an expert on the panel on this one.
I'm not an expert, but I have it.
Oh, that's a mood.
Right. For me personally, it heightens the sensitivity of all of my nerves. And there are the classic trigger points of fibromyalgia are generally no-fly zones for any impact play, or yes, I am a masochist, but I don't like blackout levels of pain. So
time out real quick, Ray. Craig, would you like me to send you the link to hop up on the panel? Like I said, I've met you personally, so I'm happy to bring you up as well. Carry on, Ray. Sorry about that.
It's okay. But it again requires an extra layer of communication, and an extra layer of understanding and patience on the days when I'm in a bad flare. Like if I'm in a bad flare, don't touch me at all. It will hurt, and I will probably get very angry.
See, and part of me knows how fortunate I am to not have to understand how these things physically work, but it's important for me to learn from you guys that experience these things, because I could easily get into a session or a relationship with somebody that has some kind of disability or some kind of autism or something physical or something mental and all those things. So it's important to learn these things from people that, like Ray, Claire's, they're not an expert, but they have it, so they understand it. So, yes, Alex.
To the point of having it but not being an expert, something that comes very frequently with autism is lessened sensitivity. So kind of like the opposite of what fibromyalgia does, where your nerves are less sensitive, and that can come and go. And there'll be certain days where like it takes a lot more work just to feel an impact than it would on days where that's not happening.
Oh. I was not aware of that, so thank you for sharing that, Alice.
That is, that's quite interesting.
To be more specific on that, I'll have days where like I've got like normal sensitivity and like I really enjoy being bitten, and then there are days where like to get that same reaction out of being bitten, my partner has to bite down hard enough to break the skin.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, somehow we went from safe words and self-discovery to
So
things.
we're still kind of on the self-discovery. We're
really
exploring
are.
how it interacts with our
Health.
conditions.
So with the fibromyalgia, I don't think I said that right. Anyway, isn't that to do with your nerve endings? And would you say that stimulating that yourself helps you control any of it, or no? Or it just helps?
It depends. For some people, if you're in earlier stages, there are specific like ways to rub your skin that can help slow progression, and mine is not early stages. I was well beyond that point before being diagnosed, because it's very pain in the butt to get diagnosed. I wouldn't say for me that it helps control it, but it can help a little bit, like distraction methods. Like if my leg is hurting really bad, if I scratch on the other leg, I can focus on that and not focus on the pain.
Okay, yeah. I can see that, because like I pinch myself if I stub my toe.
Same thing.
Defer my pain.
Distract.
Pain relocation.
There in the private chat, if you guys group Ray specifically.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to get that nod of approval there. A whole different life, by the way. That what I'd said in the side there. That one has a whole different life now. So, oh shit! Let's not put that up there. You know what? No, we'll leave it up there. Fuck it. If they show up, they show up. I'll kick them out if I don't like them. So if you want to join the panel, hop on that link there. There's supposed to be 2 more coming. Downside to running multiple screens is I forget which window I've got things clicked in, which is why I forget to mute sometimes when I cough, and I obviously forget to not add the link to join the room. But yeah, yep.
I'm going to step down and mute for just a second.
Okay, you good. I got the mute part. You just drop down. There you
Hold
go.
on. It's St. Patrick's Day. Why am I red?
Embarrassed? I don't know.
I would be so mad if I was driving through the city and it wasn't lit up in green right now, and if it was lit up in red. I'm mad at myself for this. Hold on. I don't want to give anybody a seizure, so.
I appreciate you coming down this time.
Hey, last time I clicked like 2 times and was like, oh shit, that's colorful.
You know what?
Went down.
I made $20 one night being sensitive to somebody that could have a seizure at work one time. Not the job I'm at now, the serving job I had. We had a light that like was malfunctioning, and the table that I had was like, oh my goodness, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to stay. I'm prone to photosynthesis, whatever.
But it's not photosynthesis.
Photosensitivity.
Yeah, photosensitive. It definitely not. She's not a houseplant.
There we go.
I went over to the light. I grabbed a chair from the bar and I hopped up, and unscrewed the shit. Like I was like, no point in having medical issues. They tipped me $20. It was nice on a $10 tab. I'll take it.
Ooh, that's a hell of a tip.
I'm green.
It's not real green on this side. Kinda.
It's a really, really pale green.
It's lovely.
As good as it gets.
Oh man. Let's see. Shall we dabble into the next topic there?
Yeah.
You know, we hit that awkward silence for a second. That's usually the best time to transition, huh? Beyond 50 Shades, discovering your tribe in the BDSM world. And I do like the title of that simply because, like I said, it allowed people to find the kink community that may not have been into it. So once they go beyond that garbage, they can find themselves with the people they belong with if they were doing their due diligence and learning more.
Mm-hmm.
I will give you a little bit of credit on that point, because if you mention 50 Shades in a room full of people who know what they're talking about, all of them are going to go, ugh.
And if anybody goes, that's how I learned everything I know about BDSM, then go ahead and not play with them. So we're going to bring up somebody. Don't think he's been on the panel since Alice has been here and Leanne. Matt, so good to see you. Haven't seen you in forever.
Hi, Matt.
How are you?
Hello, Matt.
How y'all doing? I haven't seen y'all in for seems like months.
I know, right?
So, good.
I haven't seen you at all.
At the same time, we've got Craig. Craig sideways. Hi, Craig.
Hi, Craig.
Hi, Craig.
Craig is actually the first person I've met in real life that knew me from the website. Like, I met him at work one night, and he asked about Jen's name, her website on the back, handed him her business card, handed him my business card, and it got me excited, not gonna lie, man, because you were like, oh, you're KinkSlayer. I'm like, what? People fucking know me for that.
Yeah,
So
you are.
I appreciate that. So yeah,
No,
I followed y'all on TikTok, and I saw something else that y'all were on Clapper.
Okay, that's Jen. Jen's the clapper. I have an account, but I haven't used it
all
yet.
of you
I'm getting
all,
ready to, by the way. If you guys
check out my shenanigans on Clapper.
so
It's
with
about to
Clapper,
get way more lit, and I need your help.
a lot of folks have become a little more bold and ignorant, especially with the new anti-trans laws and all the anti-LGBT stuff. So what started as a conservative platform changed to an adult content creators platform, has now started that serious ugly head of having more conservatives show back up. So me being the king of the controversy and happy to irritate the fuck out of people will be joining in on that fun and essentially duetting or doing a clap back to their videos as often as possible.
I am kind of the complete opposite. I don't necessarily like stirring the pot, but when I have something that I feel extremely strong about, I'm gonna
Here, let me
stand
try my
up.
other device. Can't hardly hear on this one.
All right. Yeah.
All right.
Hi, Tony. That's why we need your ass back up here too.
But I'm gonna stand up and I'm gonna say my piece about what is right, and I'm gonna do my best to defend, and I'm gonna do my best to educate. Educate.
I do believe that would be a nice special session if we ever wanted to do it on a not Monday, and kind of go the fuck off about some things.
We don't have to go the fuck off to educate, but it would be maybe entertaining.
If you want to communicate with people, you have to speak their language sometimes.
Mr. Wood, go the fuck off.
And they speak like idiots most of the time, so I'm going to have to speak to them like they're idiots. So,
you know what? You might just that just might be your niche there.
You have no idea how long I've waited for an opportunity to just be able to say just all the mean things I used to say to my roommate to groups of people that I don't know. So that makes me happy. But I am a really nice person outside of this. Unless you're ignorant. Ignorance is, I try to educate first, but if you don't want to be educated, then by all means, I will berate you. So
getting us back on topic and bringing everybody back into the fold of things.
What'd you say, Ray?
There's a difference between ignorance and willful stupidity.
Yes, there is. I really do love the way your microphone sounds right now. I don't know what's going on with it. Holy shenanigans, you guys. Boom.
I'm gonna try this and see how well this works.
It's like when I was a kid and like
Tony's underwater with Ray.
Time, I was just like, oh my god, it's him.
Yay! Look at all these people on Munch. And I lost that train of thought, but it had a lot to do with what we were talking about and Munch.
You were saying back on track, and then I interrupted you.
So this is where we were. Beyond 50 Shades, discovering your tribe in the BDSM world. As much as I'm not a fan of the FetLife, the FetLife does give you a place to find events. Not the people there. Don't get me wrong, if any of you guys watching are from FetLife, cool. Thanks for coming. But if you're not one of those weird ass people on FetLife, like we're all weird ass people there, but like the boundary breaking, non-consensual assholes. Yeah. If you have ever sent a dick pic unsolicited on purpose on FetLife, fuck out of here.
Or just anywhere, not just on FetLife.
Well, now.
What?
Well, I'll see. I'm just kidding. I haven't. No, I have, but not like in a bad way. We had previous relations, so I was just like, "Bam, what are you doing tonight?" So, yeah. Anyway, so finding your tribe. So like Eventbrite is another one I've used lately.
Clapper is a good one.
Clapper has a pretty good, like they do have radios and stuff like that now.
Clapper tribe, yeah.
I haven't been on there in a long time.
That's okay. It's about to be a lot more fun. But that's how KinkSlayer's radio and the Monday Munch started. We started with the radio on Clapper, and I felt like the people we were listening to weren't doing a very good job of representing kink. We're not the y'alls. Oh, you remembered? Go ahead.
I remember what I was going to say and how this all collaborated. The more that I educate myself and learn, the more inclined I feel to start aligning myself on this political spectrum that exists and doing my part there more, because the more I learn,
you cannot practice healthy kink without moving left.
Absolutely. You know what? I have begun to learn that too. You don't get me wrong. So we went to Charlotte Pride last year. There was a couple there, super nice couple, that said, conservatives can support Pride too. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, and they were legitimately nice people. They were good. They, explained how that group was important to them. And I was like, cool, that's fine. Maybe that's different. But now that I see, and it's just been recently in the past month that I've started to really shift my views leftward. I've always prided myself as a centralist kind of person. But as I've shifted left quite a bit, due to the legislation and all these things happening right now, I'm starting to see you really can't vote Republican if you care about at least trans people at the moment. That's my own personal opinion, but we're not here to talk the politics of it. But yeah, I'm
here to talk the politics of it anytime you want.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, we need to have a special.
I actually hear people now.
Woo!
Welcome back.
There you are. All right.
I had to log into my fiance's tablet because I couldn't hear on mine because mine is
freaking 10-year-old iPad because I screwed my phone up. I haven't gotten a new one yet. Dangers of DoorDash driving.
I know, right?
I'm so happy y'all are all freaking here. I haven't never seen Craig, Tony, and Matt. I haven't seen y'all in forever. And I love everybody else here, of course.
This is what we mean when we say tribe. You know, all of these people we have bounced in and out of knowing. We have met some wonderful people. They've become a central part of what we do and who we are. The contacts we've made. With that,
no, I didn't even get top 50.
Oh, I thought one of us was talking.
Oh, you probably hear my fiance playing a game in the background.
Okay. But this is what we mean when
play a Fall Guys with a friend of ours.
You know, we grow. We continually grow. We're not all the same people. We don't all have the same views. We don't all have the same kinks, but we are all here to be there for each other and to help each other, which is very, very important. As we've talked about.
And so this is that's actually something that is needed in the kink lifestyle because, to be fair, I have been interested since I was like 19 and got stationed in Germany. And a local national took me to a festival that was going on up there. But then I ended up getting married to someone who was very vanilla. And I wasn't able to explore until after we had gotten divorced. And I have gotten, since I've started actually exploring the lifestyle, I have learned more about the kind of dom that I want to be for my fiance by listening to other people talk about the way they are and be like, no, that's not exactly my kink. I kind of like this, but no, I've yet to have someone that I've actually looked at the entirety of how they dom and be like, yeah, I want to be exactly like that. And that's what the problem is, I think, with the lifestyle is everybody seems to think, oh, I've seen that in porn, I could be a dom, or oh, I've seen 50 Shades of Grey, I could be a dom.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. Because not everyone likes the same kinks to the same extent, as I said earlier.
You know, and that's the key is, you know, if you're a sadist like our wonderful little demon Dream, having friends that are sadists helps, but at the same time, having friends that are masochists help because it can help you learn a masochist boundary. Although boundaries are different and unique and subjective to each person, it can give you still a guideline of what can be expected from, you know, if you're playing with somebody that's not a masochist and you learn how little pain you need to inflict. Or you're playing with somebody that's an extreme masochist, and they're like, "Go grab the chainsaw from the backyard." You know, like let's get going.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny you mentioned that because I know a guy that is local in Fayetteville area who swears up and down that he is a sadist dom, but he is the sadist dom that if say one of the females in the kit group that I met him in would come in and we having issues with her ex, his every time she would say something, his only comments was, well, come over here and I'll put you on my cross and beat you till you call red. However, I know another sadist who's like, yeah, no, that's not how you're supposed to do it. It's not supposed to be intentionally call red.
Can you invite that one to the next munch? I'm sure we would all love a turn with that kind of person.
He goes by Tribal. That's his dom name is Tribal.
What is it, Ray?
In all fairness, my introduction to the kink community.
Go ahead, Ray. Sorry.
No, my introduction to anything kink related was a kind of a situation like that. I went over to vent to a friend, and I was crying on his shoulder, and then I was tied to his kitchen table being beat with a hairbrush.
Consensual.
I don't recommend that introduction.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that doesn't work, but that's not what everybody wants at the time. She wasn't even trying to, you know, get that kind of attention. She was just trying to vent. And he actually ended up getting mad at me.
I love this.
He actually ended up getting mad at me because they would vent to me, not him anymore.
A picture of his suit in a black and white photo somewhere. I'm gonna guess. But I digress. I'm not here to bash folks, but we do want to find our community and stuff like that. That's what we all
no,
are here.
like I'm not bashing the man, but you just got to understand that not everybody wants that kind of interaction all the damn time. That was my only issue with him. That's his go-to every time.
I'll bash the man.
I
That
mean-
was pretty shitty. Like if someone comes to you because they're upset and you go, "Hey, let me make this into a kink thing," when you're not in the space for it, that's real gross.
I mean, that's why I don't recommend the way I got started to anybody. Like, I didn't know what I was getting into. There were no questions asked beforehand. It was just, we're doing this and then we're doing this. And because, like, I didn't know anything, the sub drop after that was fucking hell.
I can imagine. I've
I
actually,
didn't know what it was.
I myself identify as Switch 100%, and it has been the top 100 thing on every one of the BDSM kink tests I've ever taken. So I also get a lot of people talking, "Oh, you're a fake dom because you don't do it exactly like this." I'm like, no, that's your kink, not mine. We have a friend who is a hard dom and calls himself a brat tamer, but he puts out anytime his wife would brat out, he would punish her right off the bat. That's not the kind of way I am with my fiance. I call myself a brat handler, not a brat tamer.
I like that.
Because why would I want to tame something that I like? So I reward her. Now, granted, that reward sometimes may be the kind of spanking that she likes, but sometimes it's, little things like, treating her to a shake or going to get her ice cream or chocolate or something like that. And just like I said, I think everybody needs to understand that it's not everybody shares the exact same kink.
Right.
Kink is fluid. It's fluid
for sure.
for everybody. It's there's not one kink that is the same for everybody. Everybody's different. It's just like ice cream. Somebody likes chocolate, somebody likes vanilla. Well, you may like one kink where I like a totally different kink.
I have said that myself a million times. Kink sex is like eating ice cream. Some people are fine with 2 scoops of vanilla. Some people are going to come along and they're going to see that scoop of vanilla and they're going to add some chocolate, some cherries, some strawberry ice cream, some banana, and have themselves a banana split. I'm just a guy that offers the toppings. So I like the fact that you said that because I'm not the only one. Yes.
Alice and then Ray.
So we got on the okay. So we got on the topic of brat tamers for a second, and I need to chime in on that because that's part of how I identify. Brat tamers shouldn't immediately jump into punishing right away unless that's what their brat wants. But that you don't have to be a hard dom to tame a brat and make them stop bratting. Like one of my favorite punishments when Lav starts acting up is I'll make them come up with unique compliments about themselves, and we'll just sit there in whatever space we've set up. And I'm at like a little.
I don't think Ray liked that.
I like
mechanical
positive
kicker
reinforcement.
Where
my baby girl don't like that either.
Where
Right,
if
we're
they
all
start
talking
acting
over
up,
Alex.
I'll click, and like maybe once a week or every other week, we'll check in and see where we're at and see if they want to work out through their punishment or just let it keep running up. I think we sat down for an hour. Not this past weekend, but the weekend before to go through their punishment, where they had to come up with 17 unique compliments, and we weren't leaving the room until they were done.
That's a good one. I like positive reinforcement.
And they kind of deal with self-esteem, so like it helps that, but it's also a punishment because they hate complimenting themselves.
Yeah, my fiance's over here just shaking her head the whole time listening to this. Like, no. She has a praise kink, but she wants me to be the one praising her.
Yes.
Which makes that a perfect punishment. That is a perfect punishment.
My daddy does that with me. Like if I say anything negative about myself, it's immediate 3 good things, and they can't be the same generic shit you said yesterday.
Oh, nice. I like
And it's interesting that you said that you used the honorific daddy, because I used to, when I first started, did not like that particular term. I preferred caregiver. But then she's recently started calling me that, and it has grown on me.
Qualified on the top 20.
In most of my dynamics, I go by mommy. So like that's where I'm at.
Still badass bitch.
I only use that particular honorific with very specific people. Like, I'm also a little, I've said that before on here, but that is why a daddy dom is a good fit for me.
So
if I was to identify myself as a dominant, I would be a brat handler, pleasure dom, service dom, and daddy dom, I guess. That's what Paulette thinks I am.
And that's the beautiful part about
serve,
Kink
I am
is
straight service sub. I am her toy. She says goes. So
yeah, we all have our own unique identities. You know, you could be a service dom, you could be a little, and it's all what you feel. And you don't have to be that specific role every time. I think in some way,
No.
I think everybody, maybe not in a dom sub switch, but I think everybody in the kink realm is a switch of some sort. Whether they want to be, you know, the dom sub, maybe say just masochist, like everybody's got something that kind of counteracts their main role in some way. Most people, let's say most people. I got to continue to go most people because everybody can be taken a little too literally at times.
Right.
So when it comes to like these conservative areas, and a lot of states in the South as well that aren't necessarily conservative, it's the dungeons and the play parties and the swinger lounges and things like that are a really well kept secret. So, you know, it's almost, you know, because the damn, what's the name of that place in Tennessee? The Mark in Tennessee it's not a well kept secret. Everybody knows what it is and where it is, but you can't get in without being vetted intently. Like they give you some serious vetting to make sure you're a good fit. You're not there to bullshit. We have one nearby that's the Loft. There's like the Red Wolf Lounge or something, or the Red Door
Red
Lounge.
Door.
Yeah, the Red Door.
I'm actually a member of Red Door. I haven't been to the Loft yet.
I did not
There's
qualify.
a lot of things, but it also involves you looking in
I know.
right groups. That's what I think Fat Life is really good for. It's not necessarily good for the social aspect in a lot of ways, but it's good for the articles on there are pretty educational sometimes. Sometimes they are very subjective. Yes, Ray?
I would say FetLife is a good tool for figuring out what you don't want also.
Absolutely.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Real quick.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many emails and messages from people on FetLife I have gotten and deleted, and because the first words out of them was, "Hey, I got a X-inch size penis, and I'm going to do this better than you can." I'm like, no, because first off, you don't know what she likes, and second off, that kind of, you know, introduction to you is a complete turnoff to people. To most people, yes, it is to us. Like, don't come in here assuming you're going to be better than me because you don't know. You could be at some things, but depends on her, what she likes. And in any time, it's not just me giving her, you say, oh yeah, you can go play with him. It's if both of us don't agree to the type of play going on, the play does not happen at all.
Right. So real quick, devil's advocate here. It's not a bad marketing tactic for a bull in a cuck situation.
It's harassment, and it's a bad marketing play for anybody.
Absolutely. Don't get me wrong.
To play devil's
go ahead.
To play devil's advocate to your devil's advocate, that could be a good thing, but it would be better to communicate about it before you jump into that.
Oh, for sure. Like don't
that's-
start the
yeah.
conversation with, "Hey, I've got a big dick, and your partner would love me," and like real easy way to figure that shit out. If you're gonna use that like as a wild ass marketing tactic for your penis sex life, ask them, "Hey, are you into cuckold?" Or, "Hey, do you do the hot wife thing?" If they say
It's
yes,
like
here's my penis, enjoy it. I'm thinking, don't send unsolicited dick pics at all, please. But
yeah, that's pretty much.
like Ray said, communicate the shit out of it.
Are you back here already?
The one,
It's not. It's like
the biggest.
okay.
You might catch Ray's wrath in a minute there, Craig. She always gets cut off. She gonna lose it one day. I was waiting on it to happen. Go ahead, Ray.
The biggest turn off message that I ever got on FetLife was, we had been communicating a little bit, but 2 days into communicating, he jumps out with, "Well, we've been communicating long enough. You're mine now. I will show up unexpectedly and you will be ready." I'm like, excuse the fuck out of me.
Yeah. Did you mean to
Okay,
send that?
Yes, I will be ready. I'll have a gun in my hand when you show up.
Exactly.
Well, like, there was no, like, he didn't know I had kids. He didn't know, like, what I was or wasn't into. We had communicated for a couple days. Like, no. Unless that has been specifically negotiated and communicated about, you will not show up unexpectedly. No.
So, like I said, I go here. I use Eventbrite. Like, I can find local things. Now, some of them, like if I type in kink, some of them don't. Oh, go ahead, Leanne. Go ahead.
I am fading fast. I don't want to start yawning and be all crazy, but it's been a long day.
Love you.
Everyone have a great night.
If you guys want a good kink coach, get to kinkyourway.com. Message Leanne. Get on that.
Thank you. Everyone have a great night.
You too. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I think a lot of people also look at people that are polyamorous and think, "Oh, just because you're poly, you're down to fuck." I'm like, no, we'd actually like to know people we would do that with.
I mean,
little communication.
Yeah, I got to get to know you a little bit first.
I mean, you just the mood's got to be right.
I'm gonna be slaying.
A lot of people assume the same with pansexual too. Like, just because I can be attracted to
Anyone doesn't mean I am attracted to you.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're really picky.
I was gonna say Meetup. Meetup is a good app. Those Meetup is cool because you can have like private groups, and it's kind of like on Facebook where you have groups and stuff like that. But you have to answer questions, get approval, all that stuff. So Meetup, Eventbrite, Facebook groups have some okay communities. I'm sure there are some good ones out there. I tend to not see them. Mine's pretty okay. But watch out for people that try to tell you how to do your kinks unless they're educating you. Now, if you're doing something that is like wrong and harmful, then by all means, listen to what the fuck somebody says. But, if their advice sounds really fucking stupid too, don't follow that advice either. Like, no, you don't want to choke here. You want to like wrap the whole thing around their, like no.
And can we stop wrapping the belts around people's necks?
Well, they like to do it themselves.
If it's consensual and it's done aware of the risks on both sides.
Rack. Risk aware consensual kink.
But both sides have to know the risks and have to know what needs to, like, what preparation they need for it, what aftercare looks like, and there needs to be like a quick out if something goes wrong, like something that can cut the belt.
That's why you always keep your scissors tied.
Well, so that's why we like to kind of like the cuffs we got. We like they're actual Velcro instead of like a locking mechanism or something like that, or the typical like actual belt would be. So that if anytime, like, I've got a bad knee, and if she's cuffed to the bed and I'm gonna walk across the room to get a toy and my knee gives out or something, she can pop them off and come check on me and hook me up and shit.
Mister was showing off, I think a couple weeks ago, like silicone handcuffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're fully silicone. Truthfully, if you needed the strength to, you could rip them in half. They're easy to cut off. They're easy to slide off if you do it properly. Like if you're trying to pull them off in a haste, they don't move. They lock into that skin. But if you like actually need to pull them off, you can. A smooth motion will get you out of them. So they're not meant to fully restrain, but they are meant to add that restraint factor.
Mhm.
So really quick, one thing. I know we're approaching our epic 2-hour mark that we always hit. This one was something I was excited about. From the dungeon to the boardroom, navigating openness about your identity. I know that a lot of things in what I umbrella it as alternative lifestyles, kink, polyamory, LGBT, all those things, there are different degrees of openness. Some people are like myself. I'm wide the fuck open. I might as well tattoo I'm polyamorous on my forehead, but there are some that are polyamorous that can't be out, that can't talk about certain things. They have a very religious family, or they have a household, because I've seen cases through the courts where children have been taken in certain states and certain aspects because the parents split up and they were polyamorous, and one person was like, oh, they've got multiple partners, and the court deemed it to be, unsafe for the child. Like, they don't know what the fuck's good for them. But that's why it's always important to never out anybody here, especially, but in any realm. Although I am heterosexual, I go to these pride events and have a fucking blast. But I'm not there because I'm gay or bisexual. I'm there as an ally, but I'm also there with Jen to bring that other kink aspect to it, and to have a good time myself. But now, if I ever brought somebody with me, that was I got you. Real quick, Matt, for you, roll out. I see that you got to roll out soon. First off, great to see you. I hope you start to come back. When you can, of course. I know we've talked a little bit. But now that's like kind of what I was thinking, was like certain things about openness. It's just because people are on this panel doesn't make them kinky, doesn't mean they are part of the LGBT community, but they're just people that are wanting to learn and educate. So just because you see us up here doesn't mean that we are any of the things necessarily that we speak about.
Working to educate themselves.
Because Leanne is married. Some nights we talk about non-monogamy, but that doesn't mean she's not monogamous. She's happily monogamous, and that's acceptable. That's part of the diversity of this crew. We've got some that are relationship anarchists, and then I do want to do a deeper dive into that, because we kind of roamed it with the whole spectrum that one night, but that was about it. I think relationship anarchy is a good topic for a lot of people to learn about. It's as complicated as it sounds on paper. It sounds like it's a much simpler life.
It's not so much that it's complicated itself. You just have to undo basically everything you were taught and told about how relationships work, period.
Well, that's easy. Just kidding. That's not easy. Okay. Craig says Kink's also a good place to find groups about kink. Okay. Never thought about that. I'm hesitant on the kink groups because it's like Scammer Central in some ways. But what, Ray? Why am I getting the...
No, you weren't getting the way of I tried to pet my cat and it bit me.
Oh, I thought I interrupted you.
I looked up and I caught that face too. I was like,
damn, did I interrupt Ray again?
No, my cat bit me.
That's rude. Bite it back.
It was like, hey, fun fact, the possum hasn't bit me yet.
I'd be fine if it weren't for all these other people.
I mean, as far as the lifestyle goes, I've only actually ever been in one dynamic myself, and that's the one I'm currently in with her.
And that's perfect.
That's how we met, was on Kick.
You know,
I happen to be in the same kit group together and been together ever since.
Oh, I qualify.
I've
and
been
it's
a part of
amazing.
dynamics and kinks and like
I don't think I've
relationships
ever
in
done that
this
one.
style since I was 12. So like
Like
there's
a
there's
dog shit.
a point where you're too young to get started. And I feel like that should be mentioned too, because like it's all of this should be approached by adults.
For the most part, I think responsible. So, as somebody that started having sex at an early age, um, you know, but I educated myself. Like I took the time to educate what I was down for, what we wanted to try. We communicated and all these things. So yes and no. Like I would prefer that adults always do these things. But you know, if you're responsible enough to educate yourself and do things properly, yes, Ray.
I would like to add to that if a
Minor person does experiment in these things, it should be with another minor person. There are a lot of adults that will use it as a predatory thing that are not genuinely in it for the right reasons. So if you are, as a minor, curious and want to explore, educate yourself and work with somebody else that is in the same age bracket and also educating themselves.
Absolutely, and that was the key for myself growing up, was to make sure that it was with my partner, it was with somebody that we communicated and we were on the same page. It was before all the bad habits started, and the things that people told me I shouldn't say and shouldn't do, and things I felt like I had to hide and all those things. So, I'm not suggesting by any means to anybody watching that when your 13-year-old is like, hey, I had sex with my girlfriend, and you're like, cool, let me go buy you the beginner's bondage kit from Spencer's. You go to junipergen.com and buy that. But don't take your 13-year-old to buy toys and such, unless you had a responsible conversation with them.
Yes.
Condoms.
Sorry, I was going to interrupt there because
interrupt away.
My oldest child is at the age where we are in puberty, and during puberty a lot of things are questions and explored. So yes, I have had talks with my child about different toys that are good for anatomy sized appropriate self exploration.
I like that.
And basic hygiene with those. Like if my child is going to be doing these things anyways, I would like my child to be educated on how to do these things safely.
Fair.
Right.
How would you guys feel about having not necessarily a young adult kind of sex ed night one night?
Yes.
Like more or less, not necessarily talking to the young adults, but talk to the parents and explain, good ways to have those conversations. And, yes, they may be uncomfortable, but it happens. You're going to either explain how these things should work responsibly, or you're going to have, your first grandchild when your kid's 14. Like, there's a right and wrong way. There's certain things you can say, certain things you can do to make sure that, one, they're not, getting in a situation where they have a lifelong STI at the age of 16 because they made a bad decision because they didn't know better.
Or end up having kids.
Exactly. I think that's something we should plan out ahead of time.
A life. Never mind.
Children are the biggest. Children are the most widely spread STI.
They are. And they're fucking lifelong too.
I call them sexually transmitted demons.
But I think that's something, if we want to do something like that, I think it's going to take some real good planning on our parts. This stuff we just talk about as we go on the fly, but I think presenting a real good educational conversation, we'd be like, hey, we'll do this in August. We'll start talking about it in like June, getting the things together, making sure we're good to go. That's one that's important.
That is
not bullshit and run on the fly.
Yeah, that one I also feel is one that we will need to tread waters a little bit more carefully as far as being politically correct.
Yes. Yep. What's up, Tony? Are you leaving?
I am headed out. I will see you around.
I like that flogger behind.
Ooh.
Which one?
Yes.
The green one or the blue one?
Yes.
I like those bees.
They're the first thing you see when you walk in my room.
Well, now that we know your connection can talk to us, because that's what I like about StreamYard. They handle most of the bandwidth, so we're going to have your ass up here a little bit more sometimes.
I'm working on that.
Miss the fuck out of you, really do.
But I'll talk to you later.
All right, bud. It's good to see you. Thank you for coming by.
Love you, Tony. Sweet dreams.
Love you, bud. Tony!
Oh, I do have a question for you. You said you had fibro as well. Have you tried sensation play, like electro play and stuff? Because my fiance and me love it. Okay.
I cannot personally do electro play. I do a lot of
sensory play, but I cannot do electro play. I have RSD on top of fibromyalgia, so my nerves are being attacked both at the root and at the endings. So for me personally, electro play would overstimulate all of my nerves and send me into a flare-up.
Understandable. Well, just had to ask you because, like I said, that's what we use as sensation play, massage, and electro play versus maybe even light knife play, no drawing of blood, but just sensation play like that when she can't handle impact or anything.
It's different for every person. Mine is a little bit more. I have to be careful on that. I also have seizures. And if my nerves are too overloaded, it will trigger either a seizure or a narcoleptic episode, and both of those are not fun during play.
Oh yeah, I got a buddy of mine that's epileptic, so I understand that. I feel that completely. I just had to ask you, trying to suggest something in case you have tried it and like it.
No, you feel free to ask any questions. If I'm not comfortable with answering it, I'll say so. I've gotten better about that.
Absolutely. She even snaps at me now. It's wonderful. I love it. Makes me so happy. Most people don't like getting yelled at or getting snapped at, but the fact that Ray does it to me sometimes when it's necessary, I'm like, oh, fuck yeah.
Well, I mean, you remember the first time that all I did was redirect you back to the topic, and I had a panic attack for a half hour afterwards.
Yeah, but that's the important part, and that's another thing that's good about having that tribe, that community, to touch back on that topic, is because you do grow with these people. Although Munch is only a little over a year old, I mean, we've had people come and go, we've grown together, we came apart, so like it's important.
I love how different we are, right? Like my first meaningful contribution to a conversation was being a bitch to Mister.
And I was like, yeah, that's when I was like, you know what, Alice is gonna fit in just fine here. But even in myself, I mean, I learn and do things differently every day. Now, outside of Munch, I still don't have much of a filter, but when I'm with you guys, like I try to talk to myself objectively. Obviously, I don't want to say anything that's going to upset anybody, trigger anything, or cause somebody to really be like pissed off. Out of you guys, like people watching, other folks, I'll piss them off all day, but you guys is the important part. Oh, I'm telling. It's okay. Sorry, side conversation there. I'm telling. But this one, like, I think it's important because we touched on that a little bit ago about how it can be an outlet for people that are stuck in a dominant CFO, CEO type role to be able to be dominated in the bedroom, to feel that that other side of things. That's okay. I understand. But next time you can say no. You absolutely
I didn't
can.
want to say no.
Huh?
I know.
Okay.
I didn't want to say no, but we'll talk about that later. We're good. Sorry.
That later. But when it comes to openness, some people are out in fucking public in their gear. Yes.
I'm like, that wasn't. I have something to say. I'm raising my hand to say I'm one of those people.
Oh, okay, gotcha. But like that's one of those things, and some folks live their whole lives, and then they die, and like somebody finds grandma's kinky shit in the closet. Like you have no idea. Well, then that's the purpose of it. I mean, you have to know who's comfortable with what. Never ever, whether it's sexuality, relationship status, kink levels, don't out anybody for anything. Like,
Not out anybody unless they ask you to.
yes, okay. I love these caveats sometimes, but I've had a friend of mine. He came out to me, and one, it wasn't a surprise. Nobody was surprised, but I still said nothing to anyone. I've got a great friend of mine that is bisexual. No one knows it. So like it's.
I'm very fortunate to be in the spaces that are safe for autism that I'm in, because like I straight up tell my bosses at work I'm a slut on the internet, and have actively joked about possibly sleeping with some of my coworkers at work.
Was it a joke? Was it a joke? It's okay.
If the connection's there, but they're all mostly straight white men.
Right. See, that's such a minority group.
So there seems to be a stigma against bisexual men in the lifestyle from what I've experienced so far.
Man, there's a stigma against bisexual men in every group.
I think there's stigmas against everybody, and we
just for Ray.
Fuck the fuck off.
Especially hetero cis white men. Okay, there's so many stigmas against us. I just need that eye roll real quick. But no, and seriously,
you need to wear your glasses.
Okay, mister. But anywho,
the legitimate groups that are good.
That is kind of a thing that I've encountered a lot. Is there is a lot more social stigma towards any non-heterosexual white male.
There's a lot of stigma, I know.
Especially with men, like there's a lot of people that will look at two women together and that's hot, but then the same person will look at two men together.
For a long time growing up, like most of my teenage years, like I could see, two men have sex all day. It wouldn't bother me. It turned me on, but it didn't bother me. But if I saw two men kiss, I was like, what the fuck is wrong with them? I can't explain that logic. Don't add, like at some point it just stopped being that way, and I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. It's two people kissing. But like forever, I don't know why.
That's what it was.
You know what it was? The conditioning from your surroundings, and your parents were probably like, what the fuck? And your fucking people who you were around were probably like, what the fuck?
Right. Probably, but I'm glad I'm no longer that way. Like if I see two people of any gender kiss, it's like they're kissing. Get out of my face. Get your happiness out of my face.
Get around. Sorry.
Right.
But no, so like these seriously, on a serious note, like these marginalized groups and stuff like that. Like even so, I watched a TikTok the other day. It was a very feminine but very straight white man, and I watched this whole video where he talked about how feminine men exist and all this stuff. Just because I dress a certain way doesn't mean I don't like, and maybe like he'll discover one day he was wrong, but. Or not wrong, but he didn't know how he felt particularly. But understanding that people exist like that. You have masculine women that are you have feminine men that aren't gay. Did your cat bite you again, Ray? No? Okay. Am I irritating you again, Ray? But you can't, it's the fucking cliche, but you can't judge a book by its cover. Some ways you can, some ways you can't, but it's still, most of the time, it's not your place to make that judgment anyway. You know, people thought I was gonna come out as gay at one point because, you know, when I had a nice physique, I wore my clothes very tight. You know, like it was also part of the fashion trend at the time. You know, the late 2000s, the skinny jeans, and I only had one pair of skinny jeans and never again because that was not comfortable. Yo, what?
Did you have? Is it your left ear or your right ear pierced?
Oh man, I never had the piercing, but I think it's the right ear. Is that the gay ear? Do you guys, anybody remember that?
What are guys? No, what are they?
I thought it was the left ear. Was supposed to be the one.
Left ear is all right. Left ear is queer.
Oh, see, there's a phrase for it. Okay.
I always heard the opposite. That it was supposed to be the left ear because women are always right.
Well, that makes sense too. Let's find out. Let's type in Google, what ear is the gay ear?
What ear is the gay ear?
The right ear is the gay ear that most homosexuals tend to get pierced more often than their left ear. Hence, when somebody was heterosexual getting their right ear pierced, he's getting his gay ear pierced.
Because women are always right. That's also like if you look at men's shirts, all the buttons are always on the left side.
Learn something new. I couldn't remember those.
See,
I remember like
I heard that was because it goes back to the same reason we do the salute with the right hand, because you were supposed to be able to be on the same side that you draw your sword, and your left sword is supposed to be the shield. But then again, there's so many damn rumors and theories about shit like that.
Fucking hand, you jerk off with.
Right.
But it's also not even in the ear thing, but it's also culturally. Like in Middle Eastern culture, you don't shake with your right hand.
No, that's the hand you wipe your ass with.
Exactly. So like that's insulting as fuck. So if you guys go to the Middle East, please don't
Two combat tours.
Yeah, see, so now Craig, let me ask you, what is that? Sorry, your thing is so low.
It's okay. What happens with you saying real quick, Ray, I want you to know, I don't know if you can like sputter some words for just like 2 seconds. Then it picks up your voice just fine and we can hear you perfectly.
You should go blah, 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 and then I'll pick it up.
But do this.
I was going to say is that that's why cutting off the left hand was a big thing for thieves in a lot of Middle Eastern cultures, because that doomed them. You could not eat from a community pot with your right hand because you don't want to eat from a community pot with the hand you wipe your ass with.
Wow. That's interesting. So I did learn the other day where they think the origin of like this military salute come from was back in the medieval days. This could be wrong, but it was something I read the other day. I thought it was pretty neat, and I liked it. It's going to be my origin story for it. But knights, when they were on horseback, would raise their visors to lead an ally. So like,
they could see your face. Yeah.
The motion.
But that, and because, like I said, the right hand was always the hand they drew the sword with, because their left was on the shield, so they could protect, if they were in a shield wall or something, they could protect the person's vulnerable side.
That's interesting. That's neat.
As much as I love all of the history lessons and side stuff, it's 12:15, so if we have more topic to discuss, I would like to, because I'm fucking tired.
All I've got here is this one, but we could have a whole show on that one, and that's about myths. The main myth with identity and different being differently abled in some way is kink is not necessarily because you're mentally ill. We talked about that a little bit earlier, but it can help with therapeutic things and stuff like that. But you don't have to have some kind of mental illness
Don't
to
fast asleep and whatnot.
Yeah, we talked about that last Monday a little bit.
What's up, Alice?
I would like to also chime in because it's something I hear all the time. Being trans isn't a kink. Like you can be into like cross-dressing and sissification and whatever, but like specifically being transgender isn't a kink.
That is an identity. Kinks are
Right.
things you like. Identity is just who you are.
Exactly.
And if you're gonna fetishize a marginalized community, do it consensually and respectfully.
And in a private space, not out in public.
Yes, you know. I think, like I said, I gotta find that podcast me and Jen listened to, where the guy was talking about how like they have a group of men, and I'm pretty sure it's in Baltimore now that I remember, but like in Baltimore, there's a group of men that meet. That their thing is they are it's essentially a month they meet up. They're subjects of race play, and that's their whole group is like that way. But it's like they went in to talk about how to be respectful about it, and how to find certain people.
I'm following a reindeer.
I would like to add that undiagnosed mental illness is not lack of mental illness. While there may be a more prevalence of diagnosed mental illness among the community, that goes back to the level of self-reflection needed to be
successful in this community. There are a lot of vanilla people that are mentally ill but not diagnosed because they haven't explored themselves enough and allowed themselves to get diagnosed.
Oh, for sure. And if anybody in the comments has any last minute thoughts or anything they want to add, please feel free to. I think when it comes to it, you know, I would hope that, you know, we clarified early enough that it wasn't just about like your identity in kink, but how your identity flows with kink. Like we weren't, you know, hopefully you didn't miss that point. And we talked about, you know, we touched on the Dom sub thing a little bit and the different roles, but this is about, you know, being autistic or having a place on the spectrum of sexuality from ace to what's the
Omni.
Huh?
Omni is the other end.
Omni, yeah. So from ace to omni, you know, it's important to find yourself. One, you should know a little bit about yourself before you jump into kink, but it's also a place to learn more about yourself too. What's up, Brett?
I just
had a light bulb moment.
Would the way that I practice be more omni than pan, Alice?
How do you mean?
Like the way that I word it, where like the demo
Omni comes first, but if I like you, it doesn't matter what's in your pants, I'll play with it. Is that more omni than pan?
So omni is sexual attraction to everyone who's an adult.
Oh, okay, never mind. We're good.
Yeah.
I had to clarify that in my mind. Thank you.
No,
yours strikes me as like a space between demi and pansexual, which is how you described it.
Yeah. Yeah.
no,
Okay. Thank you.
Also, now we'll say, if I can be so controversial, I think whereas ace is not, omni sounds more like a mental illness, to be sexually attracted to everyone you meet that's an adult. That's a lot. That's like, I mean, that's just me, like, you know, but at the same time, let me go ahead and walk myself through this like Mr. does sometimes. At the same time, though, the ace is not a mental illness at all, so therefore that can't be a mental illness because I would have to hold one or the other to the same standard. So let me backtrack that statement. Okay.
No sexuality is a mental illness.
Unless they're attracted to me.
We were talking about eating ice cream earlier. Just because you're lactose intolerant doesn't mean you can't find another way that ice cream is made and have your needs fulfilled.
Yes, Ray. Absolutely, darling.
I have a controversial statement to make.
Oh, yeah.
No
identity is a mental illness. However, when you delve into pedophilia, I do think that there are people that are minor attracted, and that in and of itself is not wrong. It is how you act on it that makes it wrong. It is the decisions that you make and how you go about things that makes it illness and wrong.
You know what's
Simply having an attraction is not.
Not to do, you know, the trigger warning for like pedophilia and things like that of that nature, but Japan changed the game for their whole community. They took a lot of heat for it, but a company there started making sex dolls child-sized.
And that, I believe, is an
acceptable route because it does not involve directly compromising the mind, mental health, well-being of a minor person, but it allows for those urges to exist.
Mm-hmm. What's up, Alice?
Yes, and I think that that's a good route for something therapeutic to keep them from enacting those urges on a living, breathing minor.
But
this shouldn't. Can I interrupt for a second?
Sure.
Well, I wasn't asking you.
Go for it.
This shouldn't be. I think you were going with this should be like a form of a therapy that could be available as an option, but not something that's put on the fucking market for.
All right, I'm gonna jump back in. Anything that is therapeutic should be readily available and should have as little barrier to entry as possible.
There are a lot of people that would not be comfortable going to a
therapist and saying, this is what I need. But if it is generally available, they could seek it on their own without being labeled by somebody else.
Exactly.
Okay, I figured out what we gotta do about it, though. As we gotta fucking educate ourselves about it. I don't really...
That's a tough topic to broach, and I just thought since you brought that up, Ray, I do believe that pedophilia is an absolute mental illness. There's no, I can't. That's one thing I can't be swayed on. I mean, now I don't know. I can't be swayed on that one as far as that goes. Because if you're a person attracted to children, then there's something wrong.
I would just like to point out something about those dolls you were mentioning. You have to also look at the anime and stuff that comes out of there. A lot of that, well, about 90% of them, they're freaking 14, 15, 16-year-old people in these animes that people like to watch and fantasize.
Or like they're like 10,000 years old, but they're in a child's body for some reason.
Right. The lolly aspect of it.
That's fun.
I seen a meme the other day that had like 4 young-looking people there, and was like, "Which of these is actually a child?" It was like from different animes. I was like, "Is that a thing?" And then I looked at the answers, and it was like, you know, this one is 1,000 years old. This one's 57, but looks young, and not like. And then one was actually like 9, and it didn't look like the 9-year-old. I was like, "What the fuck are you guys doing?"
If we linger on the topic of minor coded characters, I'm going to start ranting, and we're going to be here till 3 a.m.
Fair enough. But we definitely found some new interesting topics to speak of. The professions and kink, I think, would be fun to dive into. Not necessarily deep dive, but it could be a part of a conversation we have one night. The sex ed for teens would be a fantastic fucking topic. Like I said, if we do that one right, that one has a proper way that it has to be handled, and would have to be handled with a lot of poise in a lot of ways. So
I feel like we should also finish the conversation that was just started here about handling like how we should address people who are like minor attracted, but that should probably be its own separate thing, separate from a larger munch.
Yeah, I am down for that too. I would totally be down to like have a mini munch at some point, like one brief topic, ramble on about 30 minutes, and then jump to munch.
I don't know if y'all have talked this in previous, or if you talked about it before I was able to get on, but another topic I would like to discuss seems to be one that has been a big issue is how people who are just now getting into it and trying to figure out where they fit could, ways to explain that easier to them, I guess is what I'm trying to say. How to find out where they are in the kink community or whatever, like whether they were more dominant, switch, sub, whatever, whether they're more bratty sub or stuff like that. That would be an interesting one to have.
So like 90% of the work that you do in kink to start with is figuring out where you and your partners fit. I would absolutely be down for a munch where we talk about just like different types of tests and like good materials for each of the major like archetypes.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't know if David's still here. I think I may consult with David and see if any members of the Shelby Pride would like to be a part of that teen parent sex ed talk, because I think that would be a good group to have as well. If not, if David's still not here because we are a little later than normal, I'll drop a message and find that out. But I think that's a good one, and I think Ray is going to be super excited for that one.
We also
go ahead. Sorry.
We also have a love language
one
coming up.
Yeah, you got to do love languages, all that stuff.
I'm very excited.
Hey,
for that
Ray,
one.
when you do this, when you get all excited, stretch your shoulders, your shirt. Yep, there you go.
The love language is definitely one I would like to be a part of too, because me and my fiance have two completely different love languages. Mine is touch, hers is vocal. So that would be a good one.
How to work together. Do we have anything planned for next week, Ron? I know that's right before we head to Tampa.
Yes, specifically meetups and safety around meeting. Things that you can do to take with you. Oh my goodness. Words are not helping tonight. No more.
It's all about meeting up,
first.
How to be safe and to properly prepare. So Ray is going to probably kidnap Jen and I, consensually, of course, but Oh man. Alice, any last remarks? Any last over the general topic of kink and identity?
In an ideal world, everyone would be safe to be open about how they feel, and I hope we get there someday.
Working on it. Jen, any final remarks there, dear?
I'm sleepy. Good night, everybody.
Greg, anything you want to add? Any kind of final remarks that
I don't know.
Basically, just to anybody that's coming into the kink lifestyle, just remember it's like we said earlier, it's completely customizable. You have to figure out between you and your partner what you like. You can't let anyone tell you how to do it. It's you and your partner, or partners, depending on how many you have.
Sorry to cut you off there, Princess. You said you were sleepy. That was your statement.
Yeah, I thought you asked me again.
No, sorry. Do you want to drop it in real quick?
No, I'm sleepy. Okay. That's all I said again.
Ray?
The biggest thing I would say is all of
this starts with knowing yourself. You cannot know what your boundaries and limits are without knowing yourself. You can't know what you need or want in a partner without knowing yourself. Start with researching and knowing yourself.
Absolutely. And I'll close up. Like I was saying earlier, this is it rolls with the identity thing. If you identify as an ally, now is the time to really become an ally. Now is not the time to watch and go, oh, my friends are gay. That's cool. I support them. Well, it's time to stand up and support the whole community and the people that are in this community that are turning their backs on a couple of the letters, specifically trans. To be ashamed of yourself. But it's time to realize that whole movement started because you were persecuted for who you were. So you have the obligation and the responsibility to stand up for the people that are being persecuted for who they are now. Anything less is unacceptable. I'll see you guys on next month.
See ya. Thanks for having me.
It was great to have you, Craig. I'll keep in touch on like the love languages and the other conversations we'll be having and let everybody know what's going on. So
Kill it. Go behind the scenes.
See ya.